On the sun-scorched set of one of Hollywood's most iconic westerns, something far more dangerous than bandits was unfolding behind the cameras. Two towering legends, Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen, were locked in a silent war so intense that crew members genuinely feared fists would fly. The film was The Magnificent Seven, a remake of Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, and what played out off-screen was every bit as gripping as what audiences would later see in theaters. From the outside, the movie looked like a perfect storm of masculine cool. 7 gunmen. Dust, danger, honor, sacrifice. But inside that carefully framed legend, ego was the real antagonist. Brynner arrived on set as royalty. He was an Oscar winner, fresh off The King and I, bald, regal, commanding. He wasn't just the star of the film. He was a producer. This was his project, his authority, his kingdom. He expected order, hierarchy, and respect. What he did not expect was Steve McQueen. McQueen wasn't supposed to be a problem. In fact, Brynner had personally supported his cutting. At the time, McQueen was a rising television actor, best known for Wanted, Dead or Alive. Talented, yes. Dangerous, not yet. But the moment cameras started rolling, Brynner realized something unsettling. McQueen didn't act like a supporting player. He acted like someone who understood exactly how the camera worked. While Brynner delivered his lines with theatrical precision, McQueen barely spoke. Instead, he moved. He adjusted his hat, shifted his weight, checked his gun. Small gestures, almost invisible on paper, but magnetic on screen. The audience's eye drifted, and Brynner noticed. To Brynner, this wasn't instinct. It was sabotage. What followed was a psychological chess match disguised as professionalism. Brynner became obsessed with balance, with control, with making sure no one outshone him. At one point, he reportedly hired someone whose sole job was to count McQueen's lines, ensuring the rising star didn't end up with more dialogue than the lead. It sounds absurd, but in that era of Hollywood power dynamics, it made a twisted kind of sense. Screen time was currency, and Brynner wasn't about to let his throne wobble. Then came the dirt. Brynner was acutely aware of the physical contrast between them. McQueen was taller, looser, more physically imposing. So Brynner ordered mounds of dirt built up on his marks, just enough to elevate him in shared shots. It was subtle, technical, deniable. Until McQueen started kicking the dirt away with his boot moments before takes. No words, just defiance. Crew members watched in stunned silence as the two men glared at each other across the set. This wasn't playful rivalry. This was territorial. One represented the old guard, trained in theater, discipline, hierarchy. The other embodied something new, anti-authoritarian, instinctual, wild. McQueen didn't believe in acting taller. He believed in being seen. At one boiling point, Brynner reportedly snapped, his voice low and controlled, demanding that McQueen stand where he was placed and stop moving. McQueen shot back with a smirk, mocking the authority itself. One line, repeated for decades in Hollywood lore, froze the crew in place. Not because of profanity, but because of what it represented. Two men daring each other to cross the final line. The irony was impossible to ignore. On screen, their characters fought side by side, bound by honor. Off screen, they were fighting for dominance of the frame. Their backgrounds explain everything. Brynner's life was shaped by myth and discipline. He claimed a nomadic childhood, worked in circuses, conquered Broadway, and built his image like armor. Everything about him was intentional. His shaved head, his posture, his voice. He didn't stumble into power. He constructed it. McQueen came from chaos, abandoned, sent to reform school, survived through toughness and instinct. Acting wasn't ceremony to him. It was survival. He didn't polish scenes. He inhabited them. Where Brynner ruled the camera, McQueen challenged it. The rest of the cast felt the tension constantly. Charles Bronson and James Coburn reportedly found McQueen's antics hilarious. Robert Vaughn stayed neutral, watching the clash like a sociologist. Eli Wallach Ever the professional, focused on his own work but later admitted the rivalry added electricity to the set. Director John Sturges mostly let it play out, stepping in only when it seemed like punches might replace dialogue. One infamous moment sealed the legend. During one of Brynner's monologues, McQueen began loudly cleaning his gun. The metallic clicks echoed through the silence. Brynner exploded, halting the scene and demanding to know whether this was a movie or a hardware store. McQueen replied calmly that a dirty rifle couldn't protect a village. The crew struggled not to laugh. Brynner did not. When filming ended, there was no reconciliation, no handshake, no understanding reached. Just distance. Brynner later spoke of discipline and betrayal, never naming McQueen directly. McQueen, with his usual grin, framed it as kings getting nervous when new sheriffs arrived. Both men moved on, their careers diverging into legend. McQueen became the embodiment of cool, motorcycles, speed, minimalism. Brynner remained the regal titan, returning again and again to The King and I, earning honors no one else could replicate. Both died young. Both carried cancer. And both left behind a film that still crackles with tension because of what they poured into it. What makes the story endure isn't the pettiness, it's the collision. Two philosophies of masculinity meeting in the desert. Control versus instinct, authority versus rebellion, and neither willing to step aside. When audiences watch the Magnificent Seven today, they don't just see gunmen protecting a village. They see a duel hidden in plain sight, a rivalry etched into posture, movement, silence. A reminder that sometimes the greatest battles in cinema happen when the camera isn't supposed to notice at all. And that's why the film still feels alive. Not despite the feud, because of it.